Good morning, Mr. Petty.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Great.
Great. I am so excited to read this book. Um, you're part of racing royalty. And I'm sure that the stories that you have to tell are just incredible. Why did you choose to write this book now?
I think for a couple of different reasons. You're at a stage. I'm at a stage in life where you kind of begin to look over your shoulder. I'm not saying you're looking back, but you look over your shoulder a little bit. Uh, and people have always said, "Man, you got so many stories. You've been around for so long." I was born in 1960. Went to my first race. I was born in June of 1960. Went to my first race July of 1960, and I've been going to racetracks ever since. And I grew up in that age when my dad, Richard Petty, and Kel Yarborough and Bobby Al, all the greats raced. I was here when Dale Earnhardt Sr. came along. I was here when Jeff Gordon came along. I was here when Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. So it spans a lot of time. Um, and then the pandemic struck. You're at home. My wife was pregnant with our second child. No one knew what COVID did for women who were pregnant at that time. So we just huddled in the house, and I started writing stories, started writing things down, started writing down memories. And she pushed me. Morgan pushed me and said, "You need to put this in a book."
Mm.
And I talked to Ellis Henneken, and we put this thing together. And he was fantastic. And we wove so many good, funny stories into a narrative that really the spine of it is Adam, my son that I lost in 2000 and the racing accident and his death. So that's kind of what we came up with, and this is what it is. And there's a lot we left on the cutting room floor, and a lot that the statute of limitations wouldn't allow us to print yet. So we'll have to wait on that. So, but other than that, it came out pretty good. It came out pretty good.
Well, you were writing it and coming up with these stories and thinking back, because, like you said, I mean, you have many years of stories. Was there one that you thought of and you just started laughing? You're like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that.
Listen, there's so many. Michael Waltrip, Stinky Shoes. Um, the lady the lady that checked me in at a hotel when I gave this lady my credit card and my license, and she still didn't believe I was Kyle Petty, but she checked me in. But she checked me in with Kyle Petty's license and his credit card. So that was the best part. I mean, there's just little things like that. One lady, and the stories in the book, a lady thought she kept telling me she knew who I was. And finally I said, "Yeah, who?" And she said, "Michael Waltrip." And I said, "Nope, I'm the other one. I'm Daryl Waltrip." So, I mean, these things are just weird, and they're just funny because they just pop into your mind. So there was a lot of, there's a lot of funny stuff that came up, and a lot of stuff that I thought about after it was all over with, after I'd written everything. And I'm like, man, this one needs to be in, but it was too late by then.
Well, clearly we need a book too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
So not only do we get to hear stories about your, racing and the family, but you also talk about the future of racing, and there's a possibility that racing could go green with electric cars.
Listen, there's a possibility that the world will go green with electric cars. I don't know if you've seen a Tesla yet, but yes. And you have to understand that. We
Yeah.
can't just stick our head in the sand like an ostrich and think the world's going to continue the way it is. It's just not. Nothing continues. Everything is in flux. Everything changes. Hence the title "Swerve or Die." You've got to keep swerving. You've got to keep moving, and you've
Yeah.
got to keep living and going forward. And that's part of that. I've said it. GM, Chevrolet, Ford, Toyota, all these people have said our fleets will be completely electric by this date, and they've thrown that date out already. Whether it be 2035, whether it be 2040, whatever that date is, it's 2022. We're within 12 or 15 years of every car coming out of Detroit, theoretically being electric. What makes you think that Chevy or Ford or companies like that are going to spend money on auto racing with internal combustion engines? They're not, because it's not the product they sell. They're going to advertise the product they sell. So I think eventually we'll get to that. Is it in the next 5 years? No, it's not. This is speaking way out. This is speaking, 10, 15, 20 years out. but eventually we will head in that direction. But there's so many things the sport can do right now, from recycling concessions, from recycling tires, from recycling batteries. So much the sport does already and can continue to do to get greener with each day that passes. So I think the sport that's on its radar screen, and I think NASCAR has done a tremendous job of being very proactive in these areas and not reactive in these areas.
My only question is what are we going to do with the sound? I mean, the sound of cars is kind of like a huge part of racing. Is it just going to be like a silent race where people just you just see heads whipping around and there's no noise?
You know what? There is already a Formula E series that they run in Europe and they run some in the United States. And surprisingly, the fans have just embraced it and love it. And what a novel idea to be able to go to a race and actually sit beside someone and have a conversation while the race is going on. What will that be like? It'll be like watching tennis. Oh no, you're not allowed to talk in tennis or golf. I forgot about that. You're just got to sit there. But I think that's another part of the evolution and a part of the change that you'll just have to accept and embrace and move on to something else. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Well, I wish I had 25 more minutes with you because I want to talk about your music career and an ample amount of guitars behind you, which I'm just dying to like learn more about. But before I let you go, let everyone know about your book, Swerve or Die, where they can pick it up and
Yes, you can. So you can get Swerve or Die at Barnes and Noble, at Books a Million, Amazon for sure, Target. You can pre-order it. It's on Audible and in an audio book form. A lot of local bookstores, a lot of mom and pop bookstores, and I'm so happy about that. That they have picked it up also because listen, they're the backbone of the book industry. I don't care what anybody says. There's Park Road books is right over from where I live, and it's an independent bookseller, and I don't go anywhere but there. It seems like sometimes they always have and always can get whatever you need, and the service is incredible. So get it at your local bookstore or order it online. Just go get it, man, and read it, and then go to Instagram or Twitter. It's Kyle Petty at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and let me know what you think about it, because that's what I like to hear. I like to hear from the fans what they think about it.
well, you're amazing, sir. And it is so great to see your face and it's so great to talk to you. And thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.